So that actually, for that we have to begin with the whole idea of how Jodhaiya Bai Baiga, from the last name Baiga, she was from the Baiga tribe. And now central India has a lot of tribes. They have the Gond, the Bhil, the Korku. So many tribes are there. Now the Baigas are people who really believed in the idea that all of life, especially the jungle, is alive. It is not commodity, it is not tree. And this is very interesting if you go back to the Baiga myth of origin, which I'm going to relate now. So what happens at first, like how you have in many origin myths around the world, there was only water. There was only water, and it's not Bhagwan but Bada Dev who is floating on a leaf on the water. And he says, where is earth? I want to make earth, I want to make people, I want to make life, but where is earth? There's no earth. So what happens as Bada Dev is floating on that leaf, from the dirt in his... It's not exactly Bhagwan, but Bada Dev, the power that is in everything. So they don't use the word Bhagwan, they say Bada Dev. So what happens, out of the dirt of his body, he makes a crow. Crows were originally white, they were not black. The crows were white. So the crow, he tells the crow, go and find where earth is. But it's all water. So the crow flies for many days, many nights and can find nothing. Then he looks, it looks like a stump of wood coming out of the water, and he's so tired, this white crow, he goes and sits on that stump. And he's like, oh, Bada Dev has said to find the earth, how will I go back without anything? I don't know what to do. Suddenly that stump moves. It is actually not wood, it is the claw of Kekramal, the crab. So the crow is very surprised and he says, oh, you know, like, who are you? He says, oh, I'm Kekramal. I live in the water. So he says, I'm looking for earth. Where is earth? Like, where is earth? So all the earth has been actually swallowed by Kichakmal, the king of the underworld. Kichakmal is the earthworm. The earthworm has swallowed all the earth and is living at the bottom of the water. So Kekramal says that, okay, I will help you, since Bada Dev wants earth, I will help you. Let me go down into the water and ask Kichakmal for some earth. So Kichakmal, so when he asks Kichakmal, Kichakmal refuses to give, and the crab gets angry and he squeezes the earthworm's neck, which is why you will find that earthworms have two rings over here. That is where the crab has squeezed its neck. So the Kichakmal spits out some mud. That mud, the crab gives it to the crow. The crow is taking it, but some of it falls on him, and that's why he becomes black in color. So anyway, he takes the mud to the Bada Dev. Bada Dev makes the earth, like he scatters the mud, like he has the power, so he multiplies the earth and he scatters it all over the water. Now this is where the Gond story and the Baiga story differ. Up tak the Gond story of origin is also the same, because then the Gond says ki, oh, with this mud rivers were made and mountains were made, and you know they celebrate the creation. But the Baigas go one step further. According to the Baiga story, the earth is trembling, it is not settling, you know, and it is spreading out. So then the Agariyas, now see how cleverly the division of occupation is happening now. The Agariya is somebody who works with metal. So Bada Dev calls the Agariya who makes a nail. He makes nails, and the Baiga and the Agariya then hammer nails into the earth to fix it on the water, and then that's when the earth begins rotating on its axis, and you know,
so
everything. And that, you know, it is all like this. So these are the stories. So isme kya hai na, the Baigas think of themselves as the caretakers. So Baigas never plow the land. वो हल नहीं use करते. They do not use the plow. They practice a kind of a burn and slash agriculture, and once they have planted in that area, they will not replant over there. They will move, because they believe the mother earth gets hurt when you plow her. They believe that the mother earth needs to rest, so they practice, it's called Bewar, B-E-A-W-A-R, Bewar kind of agriculture. The same as the Varlis. Initially the Varlis never used a plow, because again they believed that the plow would hurt mother earth, you know. So when you ask about the motifs, the jungle is then a living being. It's not trees, it's not wind, it's not animals. It is a sentient presence, which is why the Baigas see themselves as the guardians. और ये Baiga word भी कहाँ से आया? ये Baiga Bengue जो होते हैं, they owe their origin to their ancestors are called Nanga Baiga and Nanga Begin, and they were actually the medicine men or the medicine people for all of the Central Indian tribes. Like जैसे गोंड हुए, भील हुए, कोरकू हुए, जो जितने भी वहाँ tribes हैं ना, if anybody fell ill, they would go to the Baiga for an ill or misfortune. They would go to the Baiga, and then the Baiga would do certain rituals and would fix, like if you had some disease, they would do a fire ritual or they would do some other ritual.
Shamanism also a part of
Yes, yes, huge. Shamanism is what they would practice. So the Baiga, and they say that the word Baiga actually comes from or is linked to the word Vedya. Ved or Baiga में similarity है कि they were the medicine people of Central India. So for her, now we will see, like for example, in that she has made the mahua tree. And as we go along, we will see more. Mahua also. So the mahua for them is, isme nahi hai, but aage I'll show you one, where they've made mahua Devi.
Okay.
Because for them, the tree has a goddess residing inside, and you have to take her permission before you pluck the flowers, before you... the alcohol that they make from mahua flowers is not just to drink and get drunk. It is actually sacred. They traditionally, the Lakhada, Pithora painters, they mix the mahua liquor with their paint and then they paint because it's an offering. And dried mahua, has anybody tried ever? Sukha mahua? It's so tasty. It is better than dates, better than raisins, and mahua ka kheer is an amazing dish. Very healthy, and the whole of Central India and Jharkhand and all these places, you get dried mahua. They look like kishmish, but they are very, very nutritious. I think vitamin A ka, I think it's one of the largest sources or something ka hai na. Some vitamin, I remember reading that it is one of the largest sources, is mahua flower. So for them, the mahua is goddess. Mahua is food, mahua is like alcohol, it's ritual, it's a lot of things. And when you talk about their devs and devtas, unke, like they have a Devi of the Ghat. So, Ghat mein puja karne se pehle Ghat Mai ki permission lo. Matka, they will only buy once a year after the monsoon. और वो मटके भी 3 मटके, one for water for ritual use, one water for cooking, one water for drinking, you know. And usme bhi the matka mai is invited to come and be in it. Bless it, you know. So they, I mean, aise bahut hai, khapre, the roof tile goddess is there that, you know, when the storms blow, keep the roof so that we get saved. So there are, when we talk now that of, you know, thinking about the environment, thinking about sustainability, thinking of living in harmony, they've been doing it from forever. It is part of their ethos, which is why when Jodhaiya Bai also, considering they didn't have painting, they did not have painting, and how did she come into painting? Because there was a modern artist called Ashish Swami, who was trained from Shanti Niketan, who was trained at Jamia Millia. He was an artist who had done multimedia kind of paintings and works in Bombay. You can still go and see at places where Ashish Swami's works are. He comes from Umaria, where Jodhaiya Bai was. And, you know, I knew him personally. He was a very gentle man, really a soft dreamer, artist kind of a figure. And he got tired of this Bombay, Delhi art scene and all, and he decided to go back to Umaria. And Umaria is this small little town near Bandhavgarh National Park. It's a small little place, and where he opened, the place called Lorha, is an even smaller than Umaria also. It's a little village on the edge of Umaria. He went back, he opened an art center there, thinking that, okay, let me work with the tribal community here and see what we can do. It was not that he was going to start a production unit for painting. No, Then Jodhaiya Bai was in 67 years old when she first met him. She was not young. She was like, she had seen enough of life, you know. So she was 67. She came to work as a laborer, not even as an artist. She came, you know, fence lagana hai, mitti ka kuch kaam karna hai. She came as a laborer. He told her that he observed her and he said, you know, you seem to be very good. Can you make a Baaghesur, the tiger god? So she first made a clay tiger god on the floor. Then slowly he gave her paper mache, he gave her, gourds like bottle gourd and ridge gourd. Then she started painting and then she started on this whole journey. So if you come and see her earlier ones, like if you see the earlier paintings, like they like to mimic what is happening in the mud walls. And this was made with cow dung, babool ka glue, little bit of charcoal dust, all that, and a little bit of mud was all mixed and then plastered with hands, like how they do lipai, you know. First the lipai was done, it dried, and then she made this painting. And the idea in this painting, if you see, the fact is that there is no separation between us and different species and different worlds. And this is like new age mantra nowadays, you know, that nothing is separate, or quantum physics, or whatever you call it. The point is, one particle vibrates here, the other particle will vibrate somebody else. There's a whole web of interconnectedness. So this is Baaghesur. Huh? This is the tree.
They are not natural colors.
No, she didn't use natural. Natural colors she didn't use. She always used acrylic. From day one it was acrylic, but yes, the background she made with natural material, you know. But then as she went on, then even the background started kind of becoming less important. She would either paint the canvas one color, or a lot of times, like in this, for example, in this she has given a base color. A lot of times she would do it on the white only. There was a certain starkness that came, you know. And this painting is about the burning of Bandhavgarh. If you remember, a couple of years ago, there were very big fires in Bandhavgarh, and a lot of forests were getting burned, animals were getting burnt, you know. So she, and it's very interesting, if you look at her earlier paintings and the later ones, she is very aware how the forests are thinning, how they're becoming, like look at that one for example, how lush it is, how crammed it is, you know. That is what she is showing, how it should be, where the snake itself is like a branch. See the way she has positioned it. She could have put the snake at the bottom, but she has made the snake itself like a branch, because that interdependence, the interconnectedness of life she is showing in this, contrasted to this, where even the tiger, big and powerful, is trapped by the flames. He can do nothing. His power is gone in an instant, and all the animals are climbing higher and higher to escape, but the branches themselves are now red. So how quickly fire can, you know, take over a space and how much it can destroy. See, there are only two trunks that are different colored. Otherwise, even all the trunks are orange and red, you know.
Like this one is so completely burnt.
The
flame and this is intermingled.
Intermingled, yes. You know, and in that you can see that there's that scorpion desperately trying to get out, you know. So this was her way of giving social commentary, because every time it's not possible for artists to articulate themselves in words. You know, sometimes it's their image that speaks a lot more. Now see, in this, for example, you know, the idea of the Devi being here, the idea of the birds also having an equal share. It's not just humans that have a share in nature's produce, but birds also can have, you know, thing. So very interesting. So in this room you can see more of how she is depicting all the trees, you know, Safed Palash, all the different trees, how much it meant. See how beautiful these trees are, no? Like So while the domestic, like say for example, a scene like this, taking animals with an axe to cut wood, it's there. She depicts life, but trees were really something that she was obsessed about.
I think that's also coming from she knew them best.
Yes, because she grew up. She
in
grew
that.
up in trees, and she was also, I think it's also the innate understanding of a lot of our indigenous communities that without trees there is no life.
उसी से तो शुरुआत
That we are not understanding today, because where I live in Uttarakhand, we are cutting some 7,000 trees now. 7,000 in one area, and totally, I think,
talk about Delhi.
no, 17,000 trees. So we think trees, okay, we'll plant one, but to become a tree like this takes 30, 40, 50 years.
Tree of life.
Yes, tree of life, the fact that the tree is a shelter for all kinds of human species. Like this one is a particularly poetic painting of hers, where you see she didn't put again the tree in the center. The tree is to the side, and there's the Devi, but the tree has taken over the whole artwork,
This is beautiful.
Yeah, this one is a very, very nice one with the parrots, and like the what was amazing about her. So imagine she starts painting at 67. She paints for the next 14 years, oddly. Then she gets the Padma Shri. Then she passes away. She died in 2024. But if you look at her art, there is such a sense of movement in it. See, no bird is the same, one. Second, no bird is still. This bird has a different trajectory. This bird is a different, like there's so much movement amongst things. So that she could really capture very well. And no one taught her. I mean, Ashish ji at best just said, okay, this is the color, this is how you think. He let her be, and she just kind of really flourished in the way that she did, painting with, like, this is not perfect, this line, but she didn't care. She didn't want perfection. She wanted expression,
And I think it is that expression that we are recognizing and celebrating.
Yeah, it's not perfect. It's not perfection, because see, a lot of us don't do things because we feel we have to be good at it. She's like, I don't care.
I have a question. Did she, in her early works, of course, she did that paper mache and that matka work and all that. But did she start with like dipping her finger in paint and painting? Did that happen?
Not really. No, not really. Not with dipping finger so much.
Like
it was always
hands.
not so much. That was more for the modeling part
Modeling,
of it.
of course, has to happen with the hand. But I was thinking
But this was
about
the brush. But then, like I said, she was not seeking perfection. She was seeking expression.
You were talking about the movement. I'm just looking. I'm standing here, and my eye is going on this parrot.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
like
from here.
Yeah.
It's like the coolest
thing. That's what I'm saying. You can stand in front of one of her paintings and see the movement.
मतलब उसकी आंखें भी
उल्टी है, वो देख रहा है, मतलब यहाँ जैसे मुझे लग रहा है ये दोनों बातें कर रहे हैं. These two parrots are talking amongst themselves, like leave this for me, like that kind of relational thing. And that is something that we have to recognize, that a lot of our folk and tribal artists, their whole lives have been about relational issues, whether it is within the community, because that feeling of community is very important. It is not individualistic, it is relational. Like, so even if you see her, look behind you, if you see Bholenath over there with all these animals, the animals are not all venerating Bholenath. They are in relation with him. Some are looking away. Maybe there's something else happening. Some are looking at him. There is that relational aspect that you get, not the individual kind of a stance, Yes. The idea of coexistence, the idea of having some connection, that was very important for Jodhaiya Bai. And that you see in all her works, And like even like this is a Ramayana inspired one. Ramayana inspired one. So Lord Rama and Sita ji is inside, and Rama and Lakshmana, the monkeys, Bholenath Chota Sa, there's still a kind of a conversation that is happening, you know. There's a conversation that is happening. There's somebody's taking something like, and I think one of the signs of great art, you know, is that it is open to everyone's interpretation. What you see in the painting does not have to be the same thing that I see in the painting, you know. And to me, that is a mark of a great artist, that she makes many stories happen, you know. So this is, I think, part of Jodhaiya Bai's legacy that she leaves behind. I mean, it is unfortunate that she passed away, but this is part of her legacy that she leaves behind, that it doesn't have to be the same thing that everybody is seeing in her work. Yes, you may see a mahua tree, it is a mahua tree, but how you see it is very different from how I might see it, you know. So that's what, that is the beauty of her. So, and over there is a picture of her with Ashish ji. Unfortunately, Ashish ji also passed away with COVID, during COVID. So it is really sad. Nahi, haan, Ashish ji. In fact, I spoke last to Ashish ji when he was with COVID, and he called. I mean, I spoke to him around 3 o'clock, and he says, "I'm getting better." He was in hospital. He said, "I'm getting better." And 6 o'clock, then Nimish called up and said that he has passed away. So, you know, so that is what, both of them passed away, unfortunately. Yeah. So, like, for example, this is all the Baiga, you know, kind of life puja, unka system. Like, so Jodhaiya Bai was very rooted in her identity as a Baiga person. It is actually Bade Dev ka ye hai, pujan hai, but exact kya hai main batati hu, because she's made the same story, she's made in many versions. Like, that is also Bade Dev ka puja. But इसमें exactly क्या है मैं आपको बताती हूँ, because she used to write these elaborate captions also, you know. But you can see the hierarchy in that sense, you know, the animals, birds, people, it's very non-confrontational. It's not that somebody's, though she's made so many tigers, she's not making tigers as confrontation. The point, like for Jodhaiya Bai, the fact was that there was no idea of dominating the forest. See, our contemporary thinking is ki dominate it. Theirs is not domination. It is like coexistence, you know. देवता होता है ना, जैसे ग्राम देवता होता है, तो ग्राम देवी है, खेरदाई. तो खेरदाई की पूजा का है ये वाला, खेर space. And then some offerings will be made, and people will go, especially when the child is born in the village. The village, जैसे ग्राम देवता की जो पूजा होती है ना, वैसे तो Baiga pujas are very simple. They are not that ritualistic. उसमें music, dance, little offerings of maybe mahua or food.
I'm just asking what is it about?
अच्छा खेरदा, हाँ, तो खेरदा is like a ग्राम देवी. ग्राम देवी जो होता है ना, जैसे तो she is worship. खेरदा की temple आपको मिलेगी, जैसे जो what I told you, the goddess of the roof tile, you won't get her, or the ghat mai, or the goddess of the pot, matka mai का आपको मूर्ति नहीं मिलेगा, बल्कि देवी का पेंटिंग भी नहीं होता था इनमें, like they didn't even have it, but खेरदाई images you will get. हाँ, खेरदाई images you will get. So now when you look at her, because she was a Baiga, there was great respect for the forest. The forest comes through in all her work as a sentient being, not as a tree, but as a interconnected relationship between the trees, between people, between gods, between animals, between creatures. There is this interrelationship that she's showing. She has some motifs that she repeats again and again. One of them is Bholenath, right behind you. All this whole wall is Bholenath, because Bholenath, Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna are two gods that you see a lot amongst tribal communities. I think Krishna because he was the naughty one, you know, Shiva because he's so powerful. And for Jodhaiya Bai, Bholenath was her Isht Devta. He was her favorite one, because in her tough life, it was like Bholenath who was her companion. So she paints Bholenath very often, as we'll see further ahead, in forest settings. So there is Bholenath, but there's also Bholenath in the jungle, surrounded by it. And So Ashish ji, who unfortunately passed away due to COVID in 2021, and Jodhaiya Bai died in 24 after receiving the Padma Shri. Ashish ji used to compare Jodhaiya Bai to Matisse, because he felt that like Matisse used color as vocabulary, Jodhaiya Bai also uses color as vocabulary. And you will see that, like if you look at this, in this, the outlines are not the main part. It is the color blocking which is more important than the outline in this. Like she has defined a whole mood, the festiveness of Bholenath, of the worshippers. It's only through color blocking, you know, rather than doing details or doing things. It's just how she has blocked color. Or like even in this is a rare piece, a green Bholenath, where she's just used color as vocabulary, you know. So then, like these were one of the first things also that she painted on, the paper mache, because till she, you know, felt comfortable holding the paintbrush. And Ashish would never dictate anything. He would say, you make what you want, but he would teach the technical part, that color has to be thinned like this. But when she first started her work, she wanted to duplicate the earthen walls. So these are some of her early works. This one in particular you can see. But in this tribal woman living in central India, relatively isolated, never went to school, never, like her signature also is more a visual sign than a letter. It is the Trishul and Ja. Ja for herself and the Trishul for Bholenath, you know. So look at the interconnectedness of life that she has shown you in this one work, you know. So predator, prey, you know, trees, humans, it's all one weave is what she has tried to show in this. And then of course, this one is one of her unusual paintings, because normally she does not do such dense compositions. And in this, but also you can see that in the center is like a kind of a chalk. This is a puja, Bade Dev ka puja painting, and you can see like there's that chalk kind of a figure, a sacred enclosure, but then she kind of has anthropomorphized it by putting a snake as the tail. There's a living element to this chalk also. It is not just geography. There is a living element. So the tail becomes a snake, you know, and then there is all the puja happening, the archway showing you the sacred space. But look at how crowded and dense that tree is, you know. So one inside the other, basically stacking life on life, you know, because this was also a technique of trying to say that what you see is not always everything, that there are other aspects also, you know, some things that remain hidden. So this is one of her most unusual and strangest paintings, to be honest. So we are publishing a book, and this is one of the paintings that I've written a caption on. This was very challenging to write. But then again, you look at something like that. There is also a denseness in that painting. And what I love about that painting is how the snake itself has become a branch. You know, come closer and admire it, because this is one of her very, very important paintings in terms of the kind of detailing and surface decoration she has done in this, you know. Like every inch has some decoration, some patterning, something, you know. And again, it is Jungle Jeevan, which shows you the interdependence and the number of species that are there anywhere, you know. And no question of domination. No one is dominating anyone in this painting. It is all, everyone has a space in this forest, you know. So this was her ideal view of Jungle Jeevan, where it's not that sense of confrontation which is there. Yes, danger is present, but not confrontation. But then contrast it to that painting, where the tiger is dominating, but fire has overtaken everything. And you can only see two trees which are brown trunks. The rest of them, the trees and the fire, you can't make the difference. And this was her response to the forest fires in Bandhavgarh, because from a couple of years now, the forests of Bandhavgarh, due to human activity and climate change, too much of dry leaf litter, and somebody may have tossed a beedi, or sometimes you never know, you get a lot of forest fires. And her point was that even the mighty tiger has no power in front of the fire, And so you see the urgency in this painting. The snake is half dead, the scorpion is trying to come out, animals are trying to reach higher and higher, going onto thin branches that won't take their weight. So this was about how ecological disaster is actually leading us to an unbalanced state of affairs. She was very concerned that it's not just the forest, it's entire life systems that are going. Now, for example, even this painting, if you see, the tigers are looking like pussycats, like there's such a, so this, smiling. So this one is called the mother tigress with her babies, and this is a particular tree which has these fruits that they eat in times of drought and all that. But again, there's such a cheerful sense coming through, that sense of the tiger not threatening, the maternal instinct being more, with the little cubs, and the fact that she makes this rhythm with repetition. So the round fruits are repeated again and again and again till there's a certain rhythm, or in this case, the mahua flowers, or in this snake, if you see, it's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece, the snake. Just the stripes, just with the stripes, she has created rhythm and movement. It doesn't look dead, the snake, So in that sense, an untrained woman, never went to art school, never saw art books, but had this latent kind of seed inside her, which was just waiting for that opportunity to kind of flower, Going to the forest to collect wood. This is one of her early works. She collected firewood all her life. Now look at this. Wouldn't you call it so modern? The way she has shown the forest, the people, the movement, the detailing. So these are her early works, like these ones, over there also. So the different sense of color, because she started small, had a different kind of perspective. But this, if I didn't tell you it was by a Baiga woman and I put it in a gallery in New York, you wouldn't be able to say where it came from. You couldn't say where it came from. There's nothing Baiga about it at all. It's so contemporary. It could be from Africa for all you know, So this is one of the kind of universality of art principles, and it was a project many years ago in Australia that we had done. We had taken 3 traditional Indian artists and we paired them with Australian artists, and they didn't speak any Indian language, the Australians, and these guys didn't speak English. And we did a workshop based on the premise that art has its own language, So it was quite successful, the project, except for in one case. In one case, the artist didn't gel. So that didn't work. But in 2 sets, they gelled very well and they did, But look at this. I mean, who would say that it is from a Baiga village in central India, So this, in short, is Jodhaiya Bai's world that we have been very privileged to enter. Initially, there was no pencil. She would just take color and begin. And start. Later, towards the end, yes, when she had a little more complex compositions, she wouldn't sketch the whole thing, but she would maybe mark out in some cases, okay, maybe the tree will come here or something. But initially, it was just straight brush into paint and go, Great confidence in her own thing. And I've been to their workshop in Umaria, and when you go there, you see all these ladies who are there who have never held brushes or anything. Just put it and, start, start. In some ways, the concept that we have in Indian thinking, that you take anything or wo bindu laga lo, you put that point, and from that point, if you don't inhibit yourself, you can flow in any direction. The problem comes with our socialization and our education कि भाई वो point डाल के left जाए, right जाए, ऊपर जाए, नीचे जाए, we stop ourselves, Otherwise, it's like there was a lady even older than her, Jhulan, really elderly lady. And I was privileged to see her, really old lady who died also very, soon after. Jhulan would be like lying on her canvas. And I would sit and I would watch her make tigers. Like tiger upon tiger, bas, liya color, Jhulan, little Jhulan lying over her sheet making it, It was so refreshing coming from where we seek perfection to seeing how in that mahua painting, I'll show you, I was showing some of them and I'll show that to you because it is one of her most powerful works to highlight it. She's put the blue. The blue is absolutely not perfect anywhere. But she didn't care. She didn't care, She was not seeking perfection but expression. So that is a very good lesson, because sometimes we get paralyzed in perfection. So, she was not paralyzed at all. She was a remarkable woman. She was really a remarkable woman. Also, they make images of modern day Ahmedabad. And they'll write the shop signs for you. But they are not writing it as language. They are writing it as visual. Yeah, they are seeing it. It's a tedha, it's a circle, it's a thing. Because I've worked a lot with them and then, they got this. And I know they're not educated. I know that they can't read. So I was like, ये कैसे किया अपने shop sign इतना अच्छे से? नहीं, ये दीदी, ये सीधा है, ये टेढ़ा है. Like they copied language as a visual, signage, which is so fascinating, because we think A, B, C, D, they are like, no, it's like one goal with a danda kind of a thing, yeah. No, it was, it's very fulfilling to see that at least Jodhaiya Bai could express what was inside her. What if she had died without singing this song, Like we wouldn't have seen so much beauty. Like events alive, So you would think, what is an A4 size sheet? It's nothing, But she has brought it alive, like the way she has composed it. Nobody taught her this, composing or anything like that, The way she has used one side of the paper, whatever, like it is quite remarkable. Like in that, she has put it straight and center in the middle, this Palash one, And in those two, she starts at a corner. So she had a great interest in trees and in flora, fauna, and like most tribal communities, she had a great knowledge of what flowers when, what is good for what, like ye khane se ye ho jayega, aise hone se aisa ho jayega. Like it's quite interesting how so much of sort of botanical knowledge is also embedded in these arts. So much botanical knowledge. So enjoy. I'm here.